Hello guys. Welcome to MK Recaps. Today, we will be explaining an action and science fiction movie released in 2015 called Mad Max. Stick with me, let's have fun. Max Rokitansky, portrayed by Tom Hardy, used to be a law enforcement officer and a nomadic traveler in a post-apocalyptic world in Australia. However, he is tormented by the memories of his deceased family and the numerous other lives he has witnessed perish. During his travels, Max comes across a two-headed lizard that he crushes and consumes. As he departs the area, a faction of scavengers named the War Boys, who are afflicted with a disease that causes blisters and a pale complexion, give chase and cause Max to crash his vehicle before apprehending him. After capturing Max, the War Boys take him to their base where they forcibly shave his head and face and tattoo his back. As a universal blood donor, Max is intended to serve as a blood bag for the sick and injured War Boys. In a near-brutal ceremony, Max is almost branded with a fiery skull before he manages to break free and flee from his captors. Throughout his escape, Max is haunted by visions of the dead. Eventually, he reaches a high exit and jumps off, using a hook to cling onto a passing vehicle. However, the War Boys manage to catch up to him and pull him back in their direction. The Citadel is a sprawling community of survivors that is controlled by Immortan Joe, the leader of the War Boys. Actor Hugh Keays-Byrne, who played the villain Toe Cutter in the original Mad Max, portrays Joe. Due to a respiratory ailment, Joe wears a disturbing mask fashioned from horse teeth that aids his breathing. He controls the limited water supply, causing people to fight for it when he shuts it off. Joe warns against becoming addicted to water to prevent people from going insane without it. In his bid to collect gasoline from Gas Town, Joe dispatches a team of War Boys led by his trusted commander, Imperator Furiosa, portrayed by Charlize Theron. The team travels in a massive war rig, which serves as their primary mode of transportation. While heading to Gas Town, Imperator Furiosa veers off course and heads east, raising suspicion from Immortan Joe. Joe rushes to his chambers, where he keeps his 5 wives, only to find that they are missing. In their place, he discovers inscriptions reading, "Our children will not be warlords," and "Who killed the world?" An elderly woman confronts Joe, declaring that no one can own another human being. Furiosa has taken the wives and is escaping from Joe, prompting him to summon his army of War Boys to pursue her. Nux, one of the War Boys, is utilizing Max as his blood donor and sees the opportunity to follow Furiosa, hoping to earn a place in Valhalla at Joe's side. The War Boys give chase to the war rig, with Nux strapping Max to the front of his vehicle as they race to catch up to Furiosa. Despite their efforts, Furiosa manages to shake off most of the pursuing vehicles. However, Nux is determined to catch the rig and follows closely behind. As they approach a massive sandstorm, Furiosa accelerates toward it. Nux continues to pursue her, even as they venture into the dangerous tornadoes of sand. The perilous conditions claim the lives of some of the War Boys, with Nux and Max losing control of their vehicle and crashing as a result. After regaining consciousness, Max discovers that he is still shackled to Nux, who is unconscious. Attempting to free himself, Max grabs a rifle and tries to shoot the chain off Nux's wrist, but the gun is jammed. As he walks around the war rig, Max observes the 5 wives, including Angharad, who is heavily pregnant with Joe's child. Max holds them at gunpoint, demanding that they give him their water. He sprays some in his mouth before ordering them to get cutters to break off his chains. Dag tries but fails to free him. Meanwhile, Furiosa notices that Joe has amassed a group of reinforcements from neighboring towns that supply gas and ammunition to the Citadel, led by the People Eater and the Bullet Farmer. Max and Furiosa engage in a physical altercation as he attempts to free himself from Nux. Nux wakes up and aids Max in the fight against Furiosa. Eventually, Nux breaks the chain, but Max is unable to operate the war rig, as Furiosa installed a kill switch that only she knows how to use. Furiosa insists that Max and the women come with her to the Green Place, a location from her past. They depart, with Nux secretly boarding the war rig. Furiosa drives the rig towards a canyon where a gang of biker bandits await their gasoline payment. They spot Joe and his forces approaching and quickly blow up the overpass to block Joe's path. A chase ensues through the desert as the war boys relentlessly pursue the rig, while Joe catches up at an alarming pace. In an attempt to stop the rig, Joe shoots at it, but Angharad steps out and uses herself as a human shield to protect the others, including her potential son. Nux tries to assist Joe by spraying chrome paint on his mouth and promising to take him to the gates of Valhalla if he succeeds. Unfortunately, Nux loses his gun in front of Joe, who drives away in disappointment. As Angharad tries to climb back to the front of the rig, she falls off and is tragically run over by Joe's car. Despite the women's cries for Angharad, Furiosa insists on pressing forward. Max informs her of Angharad's fate, but Furiosa remains determined to continue the mission while the others mourn their loss. Nux returns to the rig and makes a promise to assist the women in avoiding Joe's pursuit. However, he feels disheartened as he has once again failed Joe and lost his opportunity to join Joe's army. Capable consoles him while Furiosa informs Max about her childhood and the Green Place. As they drive through the night, their progress halts when the rig becomes trapped in a large mud pile. The bullet farmer approaches them, and although Max's initial shot misses, Furiosa manages to take out the bullet farmer's lights, blinding him. Meanwhile, Slit, Joe's lieutenant, takes Angharad's almost lifeless body and removes the baby from her womb, which is also deceased. He informs Joe that the baby was a boy, and Joe shares the news with his son Rictus, who reacts with pride. The women struggle to free the rig while Max confronts the bullet farmer and returns to the rig with his face smeared in the bullet farmer's blood and an ample supply of weapons and ammunition. As the morning arrives, the rig approaches a tower where a naked woman, the Valkyrie, is screaming. Max suspects it might be a trap, but Furiosa steps out and reveals her identity, informing the Valkyrie of her mother's name and her connection with their clan. The Valkyrie descends from the tower and puts on a robe. Soon after, a group of older women known as the Vuvalini emerges. The eldest, Keeper of the Seeds, recognizes Furiosa and informs her that the swamp they had passed through was actually the Green Place, which is now uninhabitable. Overwhelmed with grief, Furiosa falls to her knees and screams in anguish. The Vuvalini agree to aid the women in their search for a new home by leading them through the salt flats. Meanwhile, Max, still tormented by the memories of his wife and child, decides to assist the women in returning to the citadel, as Joe's water and greenery supplies are presently unguarded. They plan to lure Joe and his army into a trap in the canyons. The whole group rides back in the direction of the citadel. Joe sees them riding from his telescope, knowing full well what their plan is. He gathers his army and gives chase. The Vuvalini help fight back. The Valkyrie shoots at the war boys while defending one of her own until she is run over. Max and Furiosa kill some of the war boys. Furiosa is impaled and gets weaker as Joe and Rictus gain momentum. Toast distracts Joe long enough to give Furiosa an opportunity to hook Joe's mask onto the wheels of his car. She growls, "Remember me," to him as the wheels rip the mask and Joe's face off, killing him. The rig then heads toward the canyon, with Rictus still trying to kill the group. The women get off safely while Nux says goodbye to Capable and swerves against the canyon, sacrificing himself to kill Rictus and collapse the overpass to put an end to Joe's army. Coming back to the fortress, Furiosa's lungs almost break down. Max penetrates an opening in her side to give her air. She begins to pass out, and Max begins to give her a blood bonding. He tells her his name as she shuts her eyes. The gathering shows up at the fortification. Max gives individuals Joe's mouthless cadaver, making everybody cheer. They rip Joe's body separated and feed off him. The water supply is brought out, giving individuals as need might arise. Furiosa rises and clearly turns into the new pioneer. Thanks for watching, guys. Give the video a like and subscribe to our channel if you love the video. This really means a lot to the team, and would help reach out to our loved ones. Have a blessed day. Thank you.